Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. In this episode, we're going to do a follow-up to a story I did a couple of days ago about a young girl, an 18-year-old girl, at a sixth form college. She was present at a meeting with a baroness from the House of Lords, and the matter being discussed was trans ideology. The girl very politely questioned the speaker, and got a very polite answer. And everything was fine. The girl was questioning the ideology, the agenda of what was being put before them. Well, that's the whole point of these sessions, surely. Speaker comes, gives a lecture, then takes questions. But because she questioned the trans ideology, when she returned to school, she was attacked, surrounded, hounded, subjected to physical abuse. She was spat on. She was bullied. She was basically railroaded because she did not kowtow, bend the knee, and kiss the arse of the transgender community. The school, instead of standing up for her to stop her being bullied, the school that has a duty of care, threw her under the bus. Basically forced her out, told her if she returned she'd have to work in a library, anything like that, to stop disrupting other people, because her views were likely to cause upset. Her views. Unbelievable, isn't it? Anyway, the follow-up is here now. They've gone back, they've spoken to the girl. JK Rowling has got involved, and a teacher at the school has been contacted and spoken about it. And he's saying that the school there, it's quite toxic. There's an air of fear, because as a teacher he daren't speak out for fear of losing his job. And that's what these mentally ill, narcissistic, sick people do. The world has to bend to their view like fascists. But we'll look into the article and see what's going. Right, so this is the piece. It's in the Mail Online. They've come back to sort of do a follow-up on the story, which is unusual, because normally mainstream newspapers like this will sort of hit and run. They'll do the piece and then move on to the next bit. But they have come back and they've spoken to the girl, but probably mainly because JK Rowling, quite high profile, so yeah, they'll come back for her. But it is a terrible thing that's happened to her, but you expect nothing less from these mentally ill fascists. And yes, I can say that. I know I keep getting emails from either trans people or their supporters or their lobby moaning that I call them the trans people mentally ill. But actually they're suffering from gender dysphoria, and the DSM-5, the sort of handbook for psychiatrists and psychologists, does list gender dysphoria in its mighty tome. So yeah, it is in there. It is a mental illness, and it's a form of self-loathing. So deal with it. It's a mental illness. Get on with it. So these mentally ill fascists, as I say, they and their lobby and their supporters like to gang up, have an atmosphere of complete fear and terror, threaten, abuse. Not me, not JK Rowling, but others who are, should we say, fearful for their livelihoods or fearful for their safety. Because these lot are dangerous. Anyway, we'll go into the piece. So basically, it's just going to tell you what I said before and what happened, but we'll go in because it goes into some detail and then speaks to her. Girl 18 who was forced out of her private school by mob who attacked her for questioning trans ideology speaks out about being treated like a heretic and thanks JK Rowling for her support. Private school pupil was treated like a heretic for questioning the transgender ideology. The teenager was surrounded by up to 60 girls who screamed in her face, swore, pushed her, and spat at her. She was threatened, she was abused. The school stood by and watched. Harry Potter author JK Rowling said the school had succumbed to quasi-religious fanaticism, and that's what this is becoming. Because that's what they want. They want this to be unquestionable. And when things are unquestionable, they never get questioned for fear. And it's exactly the sort of thing that was around under the Nazis in the 30s or under the Spanish Inquisition. You know, it was the fear of being stripped of power, of rights, of safety, of your life. The 18-year-old has thanked JK Rowling after fellow students bitterly turned on her. Losers. The sixth form pupil, who was forced out of a private school after challenging the trans ideology of visiting a speaker, has thanked JK Rowling for her support after other pupils made me think I was mad, she said. The 18-year-old teenager was treated like a heretic for questioning a female member of the House of Lords' arguments during a PSHE talk about transphobia in Parliament, one of her teachers said. The pair parted amicably, but when she returned to the sixth form, she was surrounded by up to 60 girls who screamed, swore and spat at her, leading her to be unable to breathe properly and collapsing, it was claimed. On Tuesday, JK Rowling waded into the row, tweeting, "Utterly shameful. Add this to the tottering pile of evidence that people in education and academia who are supposed to have a duty of care towards the young have succumbed to an outbreak of quasi-religious fanaticism. The girl's crime? Saying sex exists." Following support from the author, the teenager told The Times that she is grateful the important issue is being discussed, but fears the sensationalisation created by Ms. Rowling's input. But JK Rowling is championing women's rights everywhere, and this channel stands foursquare behind her. We champion her, we champion her arguments, her fight, her cause, everything. And not just her. We're behind Alison Bailey, Professor Kathleen Stock, Maya Forstater, all these women that are standing up for their rights to not be cancelled. Because that's what this fight is about. It's about the cancellation of women, the removal of women out of society. They're ceasing to exist in academia, in law, everywhere, because this sick trans lobby cannot abide the fact that women are women and they're not and never will be. Anyway, get back. The student told the paper that she has been mischaracterised online as expressing ingrained prejudice, but was questioning the Baroness in a measured way, and she was. "It made me think I was mad. Otherwise, how could people turn on me so bitterly," she said. Because they're sick in the head as well. They're either mentally ill because they have gender dysphoria, or they're the supporters of the mentally ill. And if you're supporting a cause as toxic and poisonous as this, then you too must be mentally ill. No one goes out and supports the Nazis unless they're mentally ill. The student said that during the question and answer session, the Baroness was implying critical theory took precedence over biologic reality in defining women. She said that on questioning the Baroness, she was told that trans people don't have basic human rights in Britain. Yes, they do. They have the same human rights as everyone. They even have slightly more because they have access to psychiatries and getting help. A lot of people around the world don't have that. So actually, they're doing pretty well. They can go and get help. After the session, the student said she apologised to the Baroness if she came across as rude in her questioning. Teachers supported the teenager at first, but abandoned her after other pupils accused her of transphobia, according to the report. Yeah, because, oh God, there's 60 of them, there's one of her. Let's go and give her a beating. Because these teachers are cowards, moral cowards, physical cowards, spineless fools. They should never be teaching. If they're allowing this to happen in their schools, they should be stripped of their livelihoods and told never to work with teaching again, never to work anywhere near children again, because they are dangerous. For allowing this to happen, they are dangerous. She returned to the school on several occasions, but was told she would be sent to work in the library if she said anything provocative in lessons, and was repeatedly bullied. She eventually left in September before completing her A-levels, which she's now studying for at home. A teacher at the school told the website Transgender Trend, "We know how these views are being silenced in the adult world through high-profile legal cases and the bullying of celebrities as JK Rowling. She is not being bullied. They are attempting to bully her, but she is not being bullied. She's laughing them off. She's pointing out their ridiculousness, their toxicity, and their dangerousness. She is on the side of the angels on this one." Anyway, this is, he carried on, this teacher. He said, "This is also happening in schools." And there's the beloved JK. And there's that, if I come back down again, there's the tweet. Utterly shameful, and I've said this before, but utterly shameful. Add this to the tottering pile of evidence that people in education and academia who are supposed to have a duty of care towards the young have succumbed to an outbreak of quasi-religious fanaticism. The girl's crime, saying sex exists. And this is the point. They can't silence JK. They can't bully her. They can't bully Maya. They can't bully Professor Kathleen Stock. They can try, and they are failing. But they fail so much in life because they are failures. He said it was chilling to see the student being branded a transphobe, and that while some have changed their positions, the damage is done. The unnamed Baroness was described as a well-known activist, while the school was allegedly a member of the controversial Stonewall Diversity Champion Scheme, which has faced claims it forces a strict interpretation of transgender ideology on its participants. It's also a protection racket. They go into these places and they say, pay us lots of money, we'll put a plaque on your wall saying that you're good and you have this approval by us, and if you don't, we won't put the plaque on the wall, and we'll tell everybody you don't do it, and we'll tarnish your reputation. So pay up or else. It's a protection racket. These people are gangsters. But they're also sick gangsters. Stonewall no longer exists for the reason it was set up. It was originally set up to give gay and lesbian people, rights and equality. That's been achieved a long time ago now. Noting that the pupil had challenged the speaker by saying she respectfully disagreed with her, the teacher continued, it was probably somewhat naive of her not to realise that this is indeed an ideology, and one with which you're simply not allowed to disagree, however respectfully. Yeah, and that's the thing. They've got this atmosphere of fear now that, you can be polite, you can ask a genuine question, and they'll immediately turn on you because dogma. You dare to question the great wise one. I mean, these people are sick, dangerous extremists. It's a terrorist organisation. It really is. When this level of fear is being introduced into schools, it's a terror organisation. It should be banned. To question its, this is the teacher continuing, to question its basic tenets is simply heresy, and heresies in one way or another need to be exposed, attacked and gotten rid of. And even if they are such notable and seemingly untouchable figures as JK Rowling, the teacher said a group of sixth formers arrived in an animated state after the speaker's visit, with a significant group of girls verbally laying into one particular 18-year-old who had the audacity to question the position because they're cowards, 60-1. The teacher went on to describe the current transgender ideology to religious fundamentalism and warned it was posing a danger to schools. He continued, narcissistic rage is the antithesis of righteous anger in that it is vengeful and vindictive, and in its purest form always seeks to annihilate and never forgives. What happened in the sixth form centre, known these days as a woke pylon, is an example where narcissistic rage masquerades as righteous anger in the form of gleeful outrage. Here, otherwise perfectly nice and agreeable individuals collude and congregate to show they're on the moral high ground. They are not on the moral high ground. They are scum. They are lowlifes. They are the scrapings of your boot when you've been walking in a pile of shit. And they say they're on the right side of history. The right side of history does not impose fascistic views backed up with violence, threats, and spitting on individuals. That's not the right side of history. We've seen that action before, and it's never been on the right side of history. These people are most definitely on the wrong side of history. He also went to say, also any waverers will be getting the clearest message of what will happen to them if they don't conform. It was understood that the school disputes both the teachers' and pupils' accounts. Well, it's going to, isn't it? It daren't not, otherwise it's finished. It should be finished anyway. That school, every member of staff should be fired. The headmaster, head teacher, whatever it is, should be prosecuted. And every girl involved in that altercation should be prosecuted. Then the school should be shut down entirely, forever, and send a message to every other woke school that this is your future. If you continue this terror campaign and this bullying and this narcissism and this disgusting behaviour. Anyway, I'm going to come up and round this off. So here we are in 2020, and yet the trans lobby, via every one of its useful idiots, the law, academia, any organisation with authority. They're treating it like it's the Wehrmacht of 1938. They'll be locking people up for wrong think, for wrong speak, for wrong do. Because unless you follow their mantra of hate and extremism to the absolute letter, these people will burn you. We've seen that. We've seen that with this girl. And yet ultimately they can never have what they want. Men and women exist. You can't cancel women because you can't be one. And you never will be one. You can put on a frock, grow your hair long, put a wee bow in it, bit lippy, call yourself Susan. You were born a man, you will die a man. And when you're 53, in your pretty frock, but bending over a doctor's table as he's up there tickling your prostate, it will all come home to you how much of a man you still are. But there we go. I'm bound to get a load of responses on this, but I don't care. I don't care. I'm here to protect the rights and freedoms of women. Not just the rights and freedoms of women to go about their business, but the rights and freedom of women to exist. So, all hail. Well done, JK. Well done, Maya. Well done, Alison. Well done, Kathleen. Well done, all of you. Well done, all of you women who are able to stand up, to shout and be heard, because there's many that cannot or dare not. But it doesn't mean that their demands aren't real. It doesn't mean that they aren't fearful. So for those who do stand up for them, I salute you, this channel supports you, and we will hopefully march to victory. And until that march to victory is achieved, you may want to subscribe to the channel to help the message. So please, if you haven't before, please subscribe. Ring the bell for notification of future output. Leave a like, leave a comment, and I'm sure I'm going to get lots of comments. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and goodbye.